What up, scholars? I'm going to put together a little video tutorial on how to do unit conversion. Unit conversion is basically when you have something like, say, inches and you want to convert it to centimeters, you need to perform a unit conversion. There's this very specific way that we do that in chemistry, and I'm going to show you how to do it. There really is only a couple of tools you need in order to do this, and if you learn the process, you can get this right every time. Now, it is a little mathy, and I know that scares some of you, but by showing you in a video tutorial, you can pause, rewind, and practice, and do it over and over again until you get it right. And I'm going to go through this very slowly and very carefully, one step at a time, until you gain confidence, and you can learn to do this. Unit conversion requires something called a conversion factor, or from this point forward, I'm going to refer to it as a converter. And a converter has two numbers equal to each other, and one of them is the unit that you have, and one of them is the unit that you're going to be converting to. Example of a converter: 12 inches equals 1 foot. Another example is 1.06 liters is equal to 1 quart. And a third example is 2.2 pounds are equal to 1 kilogram. Now you'll notice that oftentimes converters are always equal to one of something. Notice in all three of mine, you've got a number on the left that is larger than 1, and the number on the right is always equal to 1. Because converters are useful tools to compare units of two different things: inches to feet, liters to quarts, pounds to kilograms. The last one I'm going to show you is this one: 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. These three that I put a blue box around are going to represent my toolbox. These are the three that I'm going to use to do all of my examples moving forward. So let's scroll up a little bit and give myself a little bit room. I'm going to keep those tools in the upper right hand corner. Now, before we begin with this process, I need to tell you that these aren't the only three tools that you will ever use in order to do unit conversion, but these are the three that I'm going to use in this little video tutorial in order to show you how this is done. But there are hundreds and hundreds of different conversions or converters that you could use. I will always give you the converter used to do your unit conversion. The first thing that you'll need to see is the problem. And here it is. How many kilograms are in 1.5 pounds? As you can see, we have a number to begin this problem with, 1.5 pounds, and we are converting to kilograms. The first thing you do is set up what is called the conversion box and put the given number in the top left. Now, the conversion box is basically a letter T, and what you have are 4 different spots to put numbers and units. As the first part instructs, since I'm given 1.5 pounds, I'm going to put 1.5 pounds in the upper left-hand corner. And remember, the abbreviation for pounds is LB. Now, underneath that, in the lower left-hand corner, I'm going to put just the number 1. And you always put just the number 1 in the lower left-hand corner. So the third thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the unit from the upper left and match it and put it in the lower right-hand side. Notice I haven't put the number, just the unit. And from my toolbox, I find the toolbox tool that has pounds in it. And opposite of pounds is kilograms. Furthermore, I'm asked to solve for kilograms, and so step 4 is put the unit you're solving for in the upper right-hand corner. So as I mentioned before, now you have at least one thing in each of the 4 boxes of the conversion box that I have over here. Now, step 5 is put the numbers in. And what I mean by that is put numbers in here and here, because we already have numbers in the top left and bottom left, but now we need numbers in the top right and bottom right. And the numbers that I use are going to come from the converter that I had in the blue box up above. And so since 2.2 pounds is equal to 1 kilogram, I put 2.2 on the bottom and 1 kilogram on top. So the last thing I do now is finally the math, and I pull out my calculator and I calculate the correct answer. So you see there's 5 steps that are involved before you even start to do the calculation. Now, the thing that drives me the craziest when it comes to watching students do
unit conversion
is when they get to a problem, the first thing they do is grab their calculator. You haven't even thought of the question yet. You haven't even thought what converter you're going to use. You haven't even decided if the number is going to go on the top right or the bottom right. It drives me bananas when I watch students think that they do conversions using their calculator. Instead, you should use your brain, and you should use these 5 steps to success. So the 6th step is do the math. Now, when I do the math, what I do is I multiply the tops and I multiply the bottoms together, and I get a number over the top of another number. I'm going to put that down here. 1.5 times 1 is, well, 1.5. And 1 times 2.2 is 2.2. So now 1.5 divided by 2.2 is equal to 0.68 kilograms. And the unit that is in the upper right-hand corner is the unit that my final answer is going to be. Because in the process of doing this, the pounds, since they're diagonal from one another, cancel each other out, and the only unit left is the kilograms from the upper right-hand corner. So my answer is 0.68 kilograms. Here's another example. I'm going to use a different converter this time. I'm going to use the centimeters and inches. And I know I'm going to use the centimeters and inches because in my question I have inches and I'm converting to centimeters, as you can see here and here. So I'm going to follow the same set of rules as I did on the last problem, because the thing about this converting units is that this set of problems can be used each and every single time in order to get the correct answer. And once you've used these and committed them to practice, you will get that right every single time. I guarantee it. But you got to put in the work. You have to do the 5 steps in order to achieve success. So here we go. Let's set up my conversion box. And remember, my conversion box has basically got top left, a bottom left, a top right, and a bottom right. I'm going to put the given number, 2.75 inches, in the top left, and step 2 says just put a 1 in the bottom left. I'm going to match the unit from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm going to take inches from the top left and match inches to the bottom right. This is my 3rd rule, match unit from the top left to the bottom right. Now I'm going to write in the unit you are solving for in the top right. And in the problem, it says how many centimeters. So I'm going to put centimeters in. Now step 5 says put the numbers from the converter into the problem now. And again, I already mentioned it, but my converter I'm going to use is 2.54 centimeters. Now that goes in the top where the centimeters are. And 1 inch goes in the bottom where the inches are. Now step 6, like I said but didn't write down before, is do the math. So when I do the math, I'm going to multiply top times top and bottom times bottom. And I'm going to put that as a ratio, or 2 numbers on top of each other down here. Now, below the line is 1 times 1. Well, 1 times 1 is 1. Now above the line, I'm going to have to do a little bit of math. I'm going to take 2.75 times 2.54 because I'm going to multiply numbers on the top next to each other and multiply numbers on the bottom next to each other. And I get 6.985. Now I have a number that's 6.985 divided by 1, and anything divided by 1 is itself. So the answer here is 6.985 centimeters, and that's my final answer. Now what makes this one different than the last one is in the last one there was a number down here that was not 1, and so I had to take a number divided by another number. But in this problem I have a number on top divided by 1, and since it's divided by 1, that's the final answer. But if there was a number other than 1 down here, then I would have to take the number on top and divide the number underneath. But I still applied the same 5, now 6 rules. Set up the conversion box, put the 1 in the bottom left, match the unit in the top left to the bottom right, put the unit you're solving for in the top right, stick the numbers in, do the math. Now I've done one using the converter pounds to kilograms, and I've done one doing the converter centimeters and inches. Now I'm going to do one using the converter liters and quarts. The question is, how many quarts are in 0.65 liters? So I set up my conversion box with the 4 parts, and I put the given in the top left, which is 0.65 L for liters. Step 2, put a 1 in the bottom left-hand corner. Now I'm going to match units from the top left to the bottom right, just like that. I'm going to take the liters from the top left and match liters to the bottom right. And step 4 says put the unit you're solving for in the top right. Now I'm solving for quarts, so I'm going to put QT for quarts in the top right. Now step 5 says put the numbers from the converter in. So the 1.06 is next to the liters, and the liters are in the bottom. So I'm going to put 1.06 where the liters are. And I'm going to put 1 where the quart is. Now I'm going to do the math. I'm going to take top times top and do that down here. 0.65 times 1 is 0.65. Now 1 times 1.06 is 1.06. And now I've got two numbers that are on top of each other, and neither of them are a 1. So I have to do the math. I have to pull up my calculator, and I take 0.65 and divide by 1.06, and I get 0.613 quarts. Now remember, since the liters are opposite of one another, they cancel themselves out, and the unit that is left behind is the unit of my final answer, which is quarts. So my final answer is 0.613 quarts. Now I showed you 3 examples of using 3 different converters in order to do some unit conversion. Now the worksheet that I'm going to ask you to try is going to have more converters on it than just these 3. But the same principles apply. You pick out the converter that's going to do the job. This right here is your toolbox, and the toolbox has everything you need to get the job done. You just need to choose the right tool. You're not going to choose a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. You might get the job done, but it's not going to be very efficient. Just like you're not going to use the top converter with liters and quarts in order to do a conversion between centimeters and inches. This has one job, and one job only, liters to quarts or quarts to liters, where this one has one job as well. So make sure you pick the right converter that matches the information in the question. You'll always be given a number with its units. You will always be asked for a unit, and you need to choose the right converter to get the job done. But these 6 rules never change. You always set the problem up the same this way. That takes care of this video lesson. Thanks for watching.